Hello, welcome to 7-Minute Chemistry. Today we will be talking about the multiplication and division of significant figures. So to get us started, I have two examples, one multiplication and one division. Alright, so firstly what we're going to do whenever we're multiplying and dividing, just perform the indicated operation first. You don't have to worry about lining up no decimal BS like the other part in the addition and subtraction. Don't worry about that. Just perform the indicated operation. Alright, so when you take 127.6 multiplied by 20.3, you should get something like 22,590.28. Something like that. Just check me just to make sure. Okay? So it should be somewhere around there. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I need to now count the number of significant figures for each value that I multiplied. So how many significant figures does this number contain? That number contains 4. If you need help counting the significant figures, we have another video on that. Just refer to that. This value contains 3 significant figures. Therefore, this is limiting. This will limit. I can only have 3 significant figures in my answer, not 4. Just like the decimal points, the decimal places limited the addition and subtraction, this time it's the actual number of significant figures that will limit my final answer. Okay, so now I can only write my answer with 3 significant figures. All right, so how do I do that? Well, remember it's 2,590.28. So therefore, we should have at least 2,509, since it's to the zeros place, right? Or I shouldn't say to the zeros place, but since the decimal point to the right of the 9 is a 0, the 0 will not round the 9 up. Therefore, we leave it alone. So I can just add another 0 in there as a placeholder. I'm not going to put a decimal there. Why? Because if I put a decimal there, there's 4 significant figures in that answer. If I don't put a decimal, that 0 is just a placeholder. Remember, trailing zeros are not significant if there is no decimal. So, in that case, I can write my answer like that, or I can write my answer as 2.59 times 10 to the third. Okay, this is scientific notation. We'll talk about that in another video. So check that out if you're having a little trouble converting from actual number to scientific notation. Okay, but this value has 3 significant figures. Okay, therefore, that works within the limiting number. Okay, so now we're moving on to division. All right, so I have the value 238.7 divided by 0.32. And what I should do, just check me just to make sure, the value should come out to 745.9375, somewhere around there. Something like that. So once again, don't worry about aligning any decimal crap. Don't worry about that. Just perform the indicated operation. Then what you're going to do is now you're going to count the number of significant figures in each value you divided by. So here you have 4. Here you have 2. So your answer can only have a maximum number, actually not even a maximum, it needs to have 2 exactly, 2 significant figures exactly. Can't have 3, can't have 1, has to have 2. So this value right here has 7, right? So this is no good. So what I have to do is I have to take this number and convert it into 2 significant figures. How do I do that? Well, it's 745 point blah, 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 blah. So therefore, I need at least to be 700, and remember, it's only going to be 2 significant figures, so I'm going to go out to the 4, but the 5 will round the 4 up to a 5. And then I'm going to put a 0. I'm going to put a 0 there without a decimal. Why? Because the trailing zeros with no decimal are not significant. Therefore, this has 2 significant figures. Or, if you wanted to write it in scientific notation, it would have been 7.5, right, because I had to round, times 10 to the 2. And once again, any difficulty with that, check out our other video on scientific notation.